It is Tuesday. It's another Victory Tuesday. 2 Victory Tuesdays in a row. We're not used to all this adoration and excitement here in Charlotte and surrounding areas. It's Bleav in Carolina Panthers. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by the Panthers' all-time leading rusher, Jonathan Stewart. A lot to get into. The Panthers win over the New York Football Giants in Germany, 20-17 in overtime off of an Eddie Pinheiro kick. We'll get into that. Comments from head coach Dave Canales. We'll talk about Bryce Young. I know that's why a lot of y'all are here. Our analysis of Bryce Young, what he's been doing the past 2 weeks. Should Bryce Young be the starter versus the Kansas City Chiefs when we come out of this bye week? Chuba Hubbard, we're going to talk about him. Robert Hunt, we're going to talk about him. Jalen Coker, we're going to talk about him. Ejiro Evero and this defense, we're going to talk about them. We got a lot to get to. It's open mailbag like it usually is, so chime in if you've got comments, questions for us, anything like that. Tell them why you're mad in the house. We're ready to rock and roll, man. We're in a good mood. It's Tuesday. It's a Victory Tuesday here on the Bleav Podcast Network. Let's go. It's Bleav in Panthers.
Jonathan Stewart gets in, fights for more yardage. Stewart to the mouth of the goal line. Touchdown!
Wow, that's just pure Stewart right there.
That's a big-time run by Jonathan Stewart.
Welcome to Bleav in Carolina Panthers here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Do you believe? Rate and subscribe to the show on all major podcast platforms and subscribe to our social media channels on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Video available weekly at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Do you believe?
And welcome into a loaded Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks, brought to you by BetOnline. Desmond Johnson in the house with Jonathan Stewart. Schuyler Callahan, our third man here, normally on the panel, is still out on paternal leave. Had his baby with his beautiful wife, Madeline, last week, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been kind of on a leave of absence dealing with that. His firstborn. Congratulations to both of them. He may be back next week. We'll check in with him. Of course, he's our beat writer for Sports Illustrated for the Carolina Panthers. A lot to get to today. Again, if you're watching us here, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook Watch, or YouTube, feel free to chime in on the show. It's interactive. That's why we do it live the way we do it. We'll answer your comments and questions, concerns about the Carolina Panthers, and much, much more. A lot to get to. The Panthers on a 2-game winning streak heading into their bye week. We're not even going to think about the Kansas City Chiefs until we come back next week. So we're not even going to mention them for the rest of the show. We're going to enjoy the fact that they just defeated the New York Football Giants. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of it and get Stu's initial take from the game, he actually went to Germany and actually saw this game live and in person. Quick word from our sponsors over at BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% off free bet for up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from football to college basketball and more. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or on one with over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get on the action. Use the promo code Bleav for your 50% off free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online. The game starts here. And without further ado, I want to bring in my man Stu to talk about the experience going to Germany and watching these Panthers get into another game where Stu is starting to feel like they're kind of feeling themselves a little bit in terms of the first 6-7 games of this year. Felt like if we got down, and we mentioned it on the show, if we got down, it was hard for us to kind of figure out a way to get back into a lead or whatnot. These Panthers, between the offense and the defense kind of working together, are figuring out ways to stay in football games. And it felt like really this week and last week, they were kind of the ones in control of the game for the most part of it. Give us your initial thoughts from Stu as we kick off this episode on what you felt you saw from Panthers and Giants, the big key, takeaways.
Yeah, the first takeaway I would say is Germany is crazy about football.
Dude, yes.
I repeat, Germany is crazy about football. And I would have never imagined the amount of jerseys, the amount of fans that I've seen that cheered the whole entire game, right? They cheered the whole entire game, and you'll get a lot of that in these European games because obviously there's not everyone's a Panther fan, not everyone's a New York Giants fan. They're just NFL football fans in general. And that is an interesting environment to be in. If you ever gone to a soccer match in Germany or in Europe, of anything like that, they go crazy for their soccer teams. And my hope was that, I was going to be able to experience that same level of energy for the Carolina Panthers game against the New York Football Giants. And they did not disappoint. They were full-fledged. I almost want to say that we had more Panther fans there than New York Giants
It
fans.
felt like a home game for Carolina.
Yeah, it definitely
Sweet
felt.
Carolina.
Yeah,
It's like,
Sweet
what?
Carolina. First of all, we sang it 3 times, and they sang it like somewhere in the mid fourth quarter when they shouldn't have been singing it, because obviously we know you sing that song at the end of the game.
That's the victory song. Yeah.
That's the victory song. So they were singing it earlier, and we were sitting there watching the game and watching the fans sing it, which was a beautiful thing to witness, right? Being in Germany and seeing how that culture and how, the routine of, the victories and the moments in a game that you get the fans into it, and seeing that Germany was fully invested. But they were doing it at the wrong time. And I got nervous.
Bless their hearts.
I got nervous because I was like, oh no, hopefully you don't lose this game. And then they sang it again. I was like, oh no.
They don't know.
They don't know. We should have told them. But yeah, you know what? I think their energy, no matter what, gave us a nice little push there at the end to come away victorious. There's a lot there to unpack as far as the game goes. One word that comes to mind is confidence. And when you win 2 games in a row, I don't care if it's a pickup game, I don't care if it's you're playing golf and you have 2 holes where you par out. If you're playing basketball and you come down and you shoot 2 3-pointers in a row, you're feeling yourself. And the Carolina Panthers right now deserve to feel themselves after 2 straight wins going into a bye week. That's what's at stake, is being able to go into a bye week healthy, get some guys coming off of, IR, getting some guys back, for when you get to go play the Chiefs. That's a huge swing in momentum, especially when in the division you got some guys falling off, right? The Saints beat the Falcons. You know what I'm saying? The Buccaneers lost another one. So as much as we all want to talk that jibber jab, all it takes is for you to get hot. And if you get hot at the right time in the season, you get guys that back, like DJ Warnham. You know what I'm saying? DJ Warnham's first time back out there. You had Dane Jackson out there, who's a really good DB. So getting him back involved, getting him some action in a setting like that where, it's not easy to travel across the pond and come away victorious.
Yeah.
And we were able to do that. That's a hard thing. So hard thing number 1, boom, check. You go out there and you play a football game in front of, thousands of fans, and you deal with the things that, you're not necessarily used to, such as pregame and how you're getting there and all those types of, things. Check. But going back to the confidence piece, I'm sorry, I kind of, went a little left there, but going back to the confidence piece, this Carolina Panthers football team being led by Bryce Young, I saw a man that was confident. And the reason why I say that is he is athletic. And I feel like sometimes we forget that he's athletic. He forgets that he was athletic. Or I don't know, but there might be a lot of things that he's thinking about in terms of quarterback position to where he can't necessarily unlock himself. And I feel like Bryce has unlocked himself at some point in the course of the year. He's giving himself the allowance to just be him, just be you. And I really, really appreciate that. Like, this young man, he's gone through so much adversity, and the way this is playing out, I hope that he gets a chance to continue to. I hope he really gets a chance to really see this through in a sense of being successful as a quarterback, as a leader, as a football player, as a man. Him taking off for that first down, it was like a 20-something yard run. That's the stuff that you have to do. That's the stuff that is in you. That's the stuff that an X factor takes into his tool belt. His tool belt. He has that in his tool belt. You know what I'm saying? So, the run card. Let me pull that right quick so we pick up this first down and basically take the wind out of the defensive sail. Those are the types of things that Cam did. Those are the types of things that I see, quarterbacks with the ability to get out of the pocket, to use their legs. They just decide on the instant. And when you're confident, and when you're confident, you're decisive. You just make decisions right there and then. The touchdown pass to Jatavian Sanders, he was on the run, and he could have ran it in, but his instincts and everything about him, the confidence, the way he threw that ball, that's the Bryce Young that we know and that we saw in college. And then, the throw to Xavier Legette at the end of the game there, that really put us in position to seal the game. That was not some ordinary throw. My man was in the pocket, he stepped in the pocket, and he threw a straight dime to the sideline. And those are the types of things that we've been seeing the last 2 weeks that excite me. The fact that he's able to, there's been a lot of throws that haven't been completed, due to drops too, as well. The last 2 weeks, his stats could be looking way different if it weren't for some certain drops, especially the deep balls and stuff like that. So the confidence that he exudes, it's contagious. You know what I'm saying? It goes down to the offensive line, to the running back, and the defense is on the sideline watching, the offense do this type of work. It's contagious. It makes everybody want to play better, man. But yeah, it's I think right now, this bye week, get some guys back, we might have a brand new team, in my opinion.
It's starting to feel like they're starting to round a corner. Before I get to Bryce Young, because if you've been following me on Twitter, you've been seeing people coming at me about Bryce Young comments for the past 5 days. We're going to clarify that right here. We'll do that in just a second. But I want to talk about Ejiro Evero's defense before we even go over there, because we've been kind of lamenting the defense the past 4 or 5 weeks that they couldn't really stop anybody. When they started getting players back, actual starters, like they were supposed to be out there to get Josie Jewell, Jadeveon Clowney, once these guys started coming back and playing where they were supposed to play, lo and behold, the defense actually works again. And they can actually keep people below 20 points, which makes it a more competitive game for the Panthers. So maybe people should pump their brakes, because I was seeing people saying, is Ejiro on the hot seat? Should he be fired and all this stuff? And we're like, he's playing third string, fourth string guy, like practice squad guys. He has no one else to play. Like, everyone's injured. They're starting to get healthy. The bye actually might have came at the best possible time of the season for the Panthers, where it did, like kind of mid-season, where they can kind of regroup, get some more people back. Matter of fact, right before we just came on the air, Ian Rappaport was reporting the Panthers are activating Adam Thielen from off of the IR. He's missed the last 7 games. With Thielen now active, they now have 4 wide receivers on the actual roster. They did waive Jordan Matthews as a subsequent move for bringing Thielen back up. So now you got Thielen, you got Coker, you got Legette, and you've got David Moore as your 4 wide receivers there. But it feels like Bryce is getting comfortable with those wide receivers and the skill set players, particularly Jadeveon Sanders. That I'm really happy that's starting to grow into that tight end role. Another dog that Dan Morgan found in the draft. Dan Morgan may have nailed this draft from what we're seeing so far, like at least the first 4 or 5 picks, even though Josh Smith-Wade's played well and he was a late round pick. But those first 4, it's starting to look pretty good. Like, they're looking like foundation pieces.
Jatavian Sanders, touchdown.
Every week.
Xavier Legette, 3 for 40. Huge catch there at the end of the game. Jalen Coker, 3 catches, 41 yards. But more importantly, blocking his tail off. My man hemmed up Brian Burns, who's a defensive end. Okay, let's.
Yeah, we know.
Like, we know. But just a crack block sometimes can look more like, a stalemate, but it's very seldom that you see a receiver take on a defensive end and really control him to where he kind of tosses him out of the club.
Yeah.
And, Brian, I don't think Brian Burns really, that's a big dude. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he was prepared.
That's the best.
I think he didn't fall though. I'll tell him that.
Yeah. He'll say that too. I didn't fall.
Brian, you didn't fall, but you did get handled a little bit. And I'm pretty sure after that you were like, hold up, nah, he ain't gonna do that to me. We gotta make sure we get back to the basics here.
That was payback for that sack early in the game that Burns
got. Brian's did get he did get his sack. But it was only one. This is a defense that is rooted in getting after the quarterback. That's one thing they have been doing well this season. I think they had 36 sacks or something like that.
Yeah,
this year so far.
They're up there. Yeah.
And so, Brian Burns, we knew he was going to get one, and he did. So kudos to him. Because, at the end of the day, once a Panther, always a Panther in my mind.
Right.
And so it was good to see him out there, see him being able to play a game and walk off the field and in good health and whatnot. But it was good also to see Jalen Coker, take on that responsibility of getting the guy out of the club, because that's your job. When you make those crack blocks, you're supposed to make sure the defensive end does not make a play, and that's what he did.
I want to before I go into the Bryce Young aspect of this, I wanted to show this play from the game in terms of just what the offensive line is doing right now. Yeah. This is a handoff to Hubbard, waits, patient, hits the hole, gets upfield about 15, 20 yards. And as you can see, there's people blocking down. I think it was David Moore blocking all the way downfield. People just moving bodies out the way. We're not used to seeing that. We haven't seen that in a while in Carolina. So I just wanted to, this was not the only example of this in the game. They've been doing this for the past couple of weeks. And Chuba is one of 3 running backs in the entire NFL right now, Stu, with 800 yards rushing this season.
You remember what I said?
Earlier
in the season, right? Remember what I said? What'd I say?
You said he was a top 5 back.
I said he was a top 5 back, and
Schuyler really pushed back on that when you said it. And I was kind of like, I had to think about it, but
I'm a running back. I know my running backs. Chuba's been a top 5 back for his whole time he's been there, in my opinion. As far as how he runs, his strengths, we forget his rookie year he had 1,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, he coming out of college, he was the leading rusher in Division I or something.
Yeah,
right?
so let's not forget. So it's awesome to see a guy like him get rewarded for doing what's necessary, for doing the right thing, for being a pro. I think Dan Morgan is making it very loud and clear. If you want to get paid, this is the type of mindset you got to have. You got to love football so much. It got to mean so much to you that you dedicate your life to it. And for what I know about Chuba, he's one of those guys, man. He dedicates his life to this game. And he deserves every last penny that he got
from Canada. We weren't on the air when he got the extension. We had already done our show for the week, and we did it a little early last week, in fact, because of the travel to Germany. And then he got his bag. And a lot of times what happens, Stu, a running back gets paid and
they disappear.
They disappear for whatever reasons.
And not this guy. This guy showed up out the gate.
Had a career night. Yeah.
Let me get a couple carries, dog. Let me get 28 carries for 153 yards, and I'll be all right.
Now I will say I don't understand it. I'm chalking it up to this is Dave Canal. People forget this is Dave Canal's his first time as the actual play caller too. He's learning kind of also as he goes along. So I'm giving him a little bit of a longer leash on this. But there are times where it feels like they forget Chuba Hubbard's on the team, because first quarter, dude had 90 yards on the ground first quarter. I'm like, we in for a day. And then second quarter, nothing. They didn't give him the ball. It almost felt like they were trying to get Bryce lathered up, because they started doing a lot of empty backfield sets, 5 wide receivers, Bryce and shotgun, that kind of thing. And that actually leads me to the Bryce stuff. But before that, let me do one more run play here. I got to show this one, because we keep mentioning Robert Hunt's name every week on this show.
Yeah, Robert Hunt is a dog. Listen to me.
Watch him. Watch him. Number 60.
Get out of here.
Gets out.
Downfield. Let me
Push
get this
41.
guy. Let me get a hand on somebody.
Knock him down.
41 got knocked down by his elbow.
It's like, and he's always right there. So it's like we see this happening with Hunt. I mean, look, pushes one dude out the way. Just get over here. Just shoves him out the ground.
And then I'm gonna let 31 trip up a little bit too.
Hubbard gets an extra 15 yards off of this. Hunt is 10 yards down the field. Like,
did you see the touchdown run that he had to block on? He had 2 blocks. And then he landed in the end zone, and he just kept on hitting the ground, like celebrating with the earth. Like, I wish you had that clip when he was sitting there hitting the ground. He's hitting the ground, bro, and he's celebrating with the earth. Like, thank you, football gods, for giving me a running back that can follow blocks, and I'm just going to make lanes for him everywhere I go.
Huge interstate lanes. Anytime we can mention an offensive lineman doing a job well done, we're going to do it on Bleav in Panthers. And Robert Hunt is in the clubhouse as the leader. Every week there's a Robert Hunt highlight of him doing something. I had to show that. Now, I'll get back to the Bryce thing, because I was just talking to David Glenn, who I'm sure you know had a long-running sports talk show here in North Carolina. He's with the North Carolina Sports Network now. He's with me on my YouTube show every other Tuesday. And we were going through what we call the sports buffet, where I kind of pepper him with different questions or whatnot. And we were talking about trolls on internet and the Panthers in general and Bryce Young. And I want to get your opinion on this, because you've been with me now for the past, since we drafted Bryce Young. You've been with me. You know my opinion on him and everything else. I've never once hated on this kid or wished failure on him. If anything, I've pleaded for him to figure it out because we gave up so much for him. I was the one that was the most geeked that the Panthers traded up to 1, because we don't normally do that. So for them to trade up to 1 and have the conviction to go after this particular player, it convinced me to come off CJ Stroud, because me and Schuyler were on CJ Stroud. We've never hid that. We wanted him over all the other quarterbacks. But when the Panthers moved up for Young, we started looking at Bryce Young more and thinking, okay, this can be interesting. If he's got a good O-line, he's got a running back behind him, coaching staff, everything's here for him to succeed. None of that happened. So, like, last year kind of became a mulligan. This year, though, I feel like there are folks that are kind of, there's either a Bryce is elite or Bryce is a dud, and there's no middle. And I'm like, we know what elite is. We use the word elite too much, I think. Like,
elite,
we label elite,
a rookie quarterback can't be elite.
Right. CJ Stroud wasn't elite last year.
Yeah, you have to have at least 2 to 3 years consistency. To be labeled as an elite quarterback.
Now, you can see when a quarterback's going to be special out the game. Like Cam Newton. We knew from the first quarter of the first game, like, okay, this dude is different. Like, there's something different about him.
Cam Newton was special.
And we have not had that from Bryce yet. Now, Bryce has developed from what we saw the first 2 weeks of the season, where it looked like he couldn't even dissect a high school defense for whatever reasons were going on mentally, or things were going fast, whatever it was. He did not look good. We all agree on that. That's why I got benched, right? Him coming back in, Dave Canales, maybe he knew what he was doing by sitting him for 5 weeks and letting him watch the game and get slower to him and just kind of acclimate and see what Andy's doing. It looks as if he's been able to apply those things the past 2 weeks. I have no problem saying that Bryce Young has gotten much better than the last time we saw him at the beginning of the year. And I'm almost at the point where I'm like, go ahead and let him start the rest of the year. What do you have to lose? However, it's when it's people are like, oh, you're coming down on him because you can't praise him and stuff. He went 15 for 25 for 126 yards and a touchdown. He didn't need to do any more than that. And to be honest, quarterback stats are kind of down this year. If you look across the board, I'm seeing more often than not, I think we got used to like fantasy football type stats, people throwing over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, Pat Mahomes type stuff. Even Pat Mahomes ain't playing like that this year. Like, the defense is either caught up or
I think the defenses have definitely caught up. They're faster, they're stronger. Everyone's just getting better at football.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game.
Defensive coordinator a whole offseason to figure out how to stop a guy. They get paid too, so that's what their job is.
Now, he didn't need to throw for 250 plus 3 touchdowns or whatever. And I'm not saying he needs to do that every week. I'm saying pump the brakes on anointing him the chosen one when he's still elevating. We don't know what his ceiling is. That's why he was the number 1 pick, because we felt like he had the highest ceiling. I'm not going to put him at the highest ceiling right now, going 15 for 25 for 126 yards. Yes, we won the game. I'm super excited. We're on a 2-game win streak. I'm super glad that it looks like he's starting to put some stuff together. So I'm excited about the future with Bryce because the future without Bryce would have been worse because of what we gave up to go get him. I didn't want us just to go trade for a fourth or something like that to get him off the team or whatever. I wanted this to work. So if what Dave is doing is pushing the right buttons and getting him comfortable where he elevates to the point where he is starting to carry the team, because you do kind of expect the number 1 overall pick to eventually be able to do that. I don't think that's a bad expectation at all for me to have for him. Like, you should be the guy. You shouldn't be a dude we have to baby so you play well. We picked you number 1 overall because we felt like you won't be that guy. And
I can tell you this
going on.
I can tell you this as a player, it is no better feeling in the world when things start to slow down. As a running back, I remember the game. It was a Detroit Lion game, and it was a home game. My rookie year, and the game just slowed down for me out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just scoot a little bit to the sideline. Once I see Jeff Otah kick somebody out, I'll just run underneath him.
Yeah.
Things just start to slow up. And obviously for a running back is way different than a quarterback. So I can only imagine, Bryce right now, the way he looked on the field in Germany, things were just slower for him.
Calm.
I'm stepping up in the pocket. Oh, I'm stepping in the pocket. There's a running lane there. I'm going to take it. And I'm going to outrun everybody.
He left for the first time, maybe since he's been here, that he was actually having fun playing football.
Yeah, man.
And that goes a long way towards.
And I think too, the environment coming off of a division win against the Saints after you basically, your first showing was against the Saints this year, and being able to have an opportunity to right that wrong is the ultimate comeback, right? And so, Bryce, man, just keep doing your thing, dog. Like, we are in your corner. We've always been. And I think what I love about all of this is that he's proving everyone wrong. Everyone. And that's what I want for the remainder of the season. I want him to be able to, take the stage against the Chiefs and continue to prove everybody wrong.
They're starting to, it feels like, and again, I don't have a problem with Dave Canales not naming a starter 2 weeks from now against the Chiefs or whatever. He's been doing that the past 3 weeks since Bryce came back in. And for me, I almost look at it like Canales looks at it. Everything has been handed to this kid since he was 14. He's never really had to have competition or anything like that per se. He's kind of got it handed off to him at the right times. And even in Carolina, they just gave him the keys to the franchise right from the very beginning, really. And I don't think he was really ready, especially with everything swirling around the franchise and the coaching staff in front of all that stuff. It's impossible for a quarterback to.
The kitchen was on fire. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he had 3-4 different play callers over the course of the year last year as a rookie in the NFL on a team that was kind of barren of talent to begin with. That's hard. So it's not, if I'm critiquing Bryce Young, and I'm going to say this, I was going to say, put the camera on me. I'm the one that's directing the camera. Put the camera on me. If I'm critiquing Bryce Young on Twitter, X, whatever the young kids are calling it these days, it's not coming from a place of hate. And I feel like I shouldn't have to say this verbally. Like, we've done enough of these shows where people know, if you watch the show or anything that I do, I don't hate Bryce Young. I've never hated. I like Bryce Young. I think he's a good NFL player. I think he potentially could be a great NFL player. If he ends up being, we had this conversation last year. Remember the game changers versus game managers conversation that Cam sparked, and we did a whole episode on it. It was a good episode. It brought that back up in my mind again on Sunday. What if Bryce Young just ends up being an excellent game manager? Like, is that going to disappoint people?
And then you build your team like the San Francisco 49ers.
Exactly. Like, there's only, again, it comes back to what we just said. There's only how many elite quarterbacks would you say are in the NFL right now?
Elite.
Like, we could probably name them on one hand, right? Lamar,
Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Allen. Kirk,
is that it?
Cousins. Cousins.
You got Cousins as elite?
Yeah, because he passes the boy. If you're gonna sit up there and say that he can't throw the ball,
not in January.
Man, listen, that's not up to me. That's up to him.
Not January.
I'm just gonna say, as far as who I would pay elite money to, Yes.
All right, that's fair. And he does keep getting bags, so there's a presence there. Would you put Dak there?
Because I'm about to say, if you're gonna say that Kirk Cousins ain't, then is Dak?
I mean, if Kirk is, then I think he kind of got it. And I don't know if people know, Dak is out for the season. That got announced this morning as well. Partially torn hamstring. He could have played, but it sounds like an injury, but most hockey players get, from what I'm understanding. Jerry Jones announced it on his radio broadcast this morning. He's going to have surgery. He's going to end the season. Cooper Rush is going to start for Dallas. They played Monday against the Texans. Dallas is 3-7. Like,
I'm gonna go and say Dak ain't elite though. I'm sorry that he got hurt,
and that's okay. He's
not elite, and I'll go ahead and say Kirk Cousins might not be elite, but he's a hell of a player.
There it is. See, and that's fun because, like, I would put them like in Jared Goff. Like, what if Bryce Young ends up being Jared Goff?
We all love that.
That's great. Yeah, please. Jared Goff was a number 1 overall pick too. You know, and nobody complains about him.
I can tell you who's on their way to being elite.
Who?
Jake Daniels,
my boy up in DC. Yeah. What is going on with the Commanders? They got a ownership change, and like somebody turned on the light in the basement, and all the roaches scattered. And
then I can tell you who's an elite coach.
Mike Tomlin.
That boy is a bad man. Shout out to Mike Tomlin, man. We need like a Steelers chant in here. You know, deep down in my heart, I know this is Bleav in Panthers podcast. I've always been a Mike Tomlin fan, man.
Me too.
Every like from my time, you know, being scouted and going to the NFL Combine, having a meeting with him, like and being able to see him in person, you know, back in the day, like him being like one of the only black coaches that, you know, really was out there doing his thing, and to see how long his tenure with the Steelers has been, that's a huge accomplishment. But yeah, Mike Tomlin, hey, coach of the year.
I'm trying to find. I'm gonna see if I can. Well, I'm see if I can find it while we're talking here. But I came across something while I was looking for these clips. It's from today, I think. It was Mike Tomlin. He got asked about because they're about to play the Ravens, I believe, and that might be the rivalry, the biggest rivalry in the NFL going right now. Ravens and Steelers. And he was asked a question about Deontay Johnson. And I can't find the clip, but he basically was like, yeah. Oh, here it is. Hold on. I'm just going to let him say it because it's funny as hell. But it's funny because it's Mike Tomlin. And this is kind of what he does, like, especially with the media. Let me pull it up here.
He tosses them a fake bone. That's what he does.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Like, so here, this is Mike Tomlin. Now, keep in mind, Deontay Johnson was a Steeler. Keep in mind, Mike Tomlin knows Deontay Johnson. So he's being asked about Deontay Johnson and having to possibly face him on Sunday. And this is Mike Tomlin's response to the question.
To be honest with you, I hadn't thought a lot about it. He's not on a lot of their video. And so, you know, at this stage of the week, I don't know that I've weighed, you know, what he might mean to the matchup. They got more significant pieces with larger roles that are occupying my attention at this part of the week.
You see what he did there?
Hey, respectfully, my dog ain't even seen the field yet.
They got way more other pieces we got to worry about than Deontay Johnson. So respectfully,
the guy that I'm worried about is Derrick Henry. Yeah, you know Derrick Henry. Now that is a large human being that is just running the rock. Like that shouldn't even be able to be allowed.
Oh my god! I just saw it come across my feed, and I was like, I know he said something in that Mike Tomlin way where it was just like he means what he says. But he's getting a little dig in on me too. Like, why you even ask
I mean what I say, and I said what I meant. Ain't no film on my boy.
And look, I got Steeler friends that were like, man, I want Mike Tomlin gone. I want him fired like earlier in the year, or was he doing at quarterback? I'm like, do you realize how lucky you are to have Mike Tomlin as your head coach? Like your franchise has had 3 head coaches in the past 60 years. Like, we have had 6 in the past 3 years.
What we don't want to happen though, we don't want Deontay to go out there and just light it up now.
Yeah,
that happens away. It might be baiting you right. They might be baiting you in right now.
King Rook, it's open mailbag. If you're watching this on X, if you're watching it on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram on the Bleav in Panthers channels, you can do that there and respond real time. King Rook says Canales has to get better at drawing up plays and scheming guys open. Also, his play calling has to be better. I touched on that a little bit at the very beginning of the show. It feels like Dave's kind of figuring this out. I'm really curious to see because Jonathan Brooks was active this week. They didn't play him, and I'm glad they didn't because I did not like that turf that was out there in Germany. I was like, don't put him out there for his first game on that turf. And then Chuba apparently dislocated his knee for a second while
talking about, yeah.
So
like he got bent backwards there.
Yeah, so like don't play Brooks, but I'm curious to see when Brooks comes in because it's crazy how people forget like the kind of the identity of the former Carolina Panthers team, some of which that you were on, where they're like, can a 2 running back system work? And every time I hear it, I just laugh. I'm like, we've been running 2 running back systems since 95. Like here, that's kind of been our thing. People forget.
So yeah, imagine this: Chuba Hubbard 28 carries, and then Jonathan Brooks 15 carries.
I'd love it for $160.
Yeah, that means we control that. That would mean, ladies and gentlemen, that we control the whole entire football game.
Yeah, get Bryce 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, no
because
turnovers.
that's what teams like to do to us. They like to run the ball. I mean, they ran the ball 30 something times, didn't they? They ran the ball.
So I got the. They ran it 34 times for 167 yards. Tyrone Tracy did most of that, 18 carries.
Tyrone Tracy is going to be a problem in the future.
Yeah, it was also average 6 yards carry on Sunday too. Now, granted, he got that ball punched out in overtime, which ended up leading.
Yeah, shout out to A'Shawn Robinson, had a hell of a game.
Defense has been popping up for Carolina the past 2 weeks in critical fourth quarter situations, and we hadn't seen that. So for me, I feel like this is okay. You know what's funny? I thought you'd get a laugh out of this, or maybe not, because you kind of predicted it. I saw a graphic, I think yesterday, that had the NFC playoff picture. And in the very far right corner.
We in the hunt, baby. We in the
Carolina
hunt.
Panthers sitting there at 3. I was like,
it's no longer mathematical when you in the hunt. There's no mathematician needed.
That's what I thought of you. It's like I had Stu's voicemail like, we're gonna make the playoffs. I was like, I'm not gonna let him entertain that with me.
Look, listen, everybody that's a Carolina Panther fan, this is your time. Okay, the train is about to leave.
Get back on.
If you want to get on this train, I will allow you for this bye week to get on the train. Once you get on the train, you are on for the ride.
Yep.
Whether we go to the playoffs or not.
One
thing we're not going to do
is
sit up here and talk about the fact that Carolina Panthers don't have a shot, because we do have a shot.
Look, the back half of that schedule that we were looking at preseason is not as daunting.
It's not as daunting. Yeah, we can do this.
And
so
it's any given Sunday.
Yeah, let's look at this back end right quick. We got the Chiefs.
Yeah,
very beatable. I don't care who the Chiefs are.
Yeah, well,
they're very beatable.
Undefeated, but
listen, they almost lost to the Broncos. Okay, they almost lost to the Broncos.
I was listening to that game on Sirius.
They almost lost to the Raiders. They almost lost to the Chargers. They almost lost to the Falcons. They almost lost to the early Bengals. That's okay. All right. They almost be losing games.
They almost lost to the Ravens week 1. Yeah.
So you want to come to Carolina? You can almost lose this game too and end up losing it.
You know, I said we weren't going to talk about the Chiefs, but we eventually leaked over into it. If they can beat the Chiefs at BOA, that starts to, and Bryce has a good outing. Chuba's doing his thing. The defense, people are going to start with, hey, what's going on with Carolina? What's happening down there?
Taylor Swift going to be sad. Like, man. Look,
you going to get a Taylor Swift side in Charlotte. She ain't going to come down to Charlotte.
Yeah, she is. Charlotte.
Hey, y'all, how y'all doing? I'm Taylor Swift. Kansas City is undefeated, 9-0. Like, they just keep finding ways to win. It's crazy. So
now we're going to be the one to knock them off.
Now, well, they're playing Buffalo this week before us. So, hey, man,
they're gonna come out. They're gonna come out of here tired. They're gonna come out of there tired. We're gonna come in there fresh.
10-0.
Adam Thielen gonna be ready.
Ooh, I'm for some reason excited to play the Kansas City Chiefs.
They ain't gonna have no. They gonna have no film on Jonathan Brooks. And Jonathan Brooks gonna go out there in rare fashion, looking like Jamal Charles, who played for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, you brought a name
running all over the place.
Yeah. Would you say that we're kind of bouncing around here because we went to around the NFL. Would you say Mike Tomlin's the best coach in the NFL right now? Now that Belichick's gone?
Yes.
The only other guy I would put up there is Andy Reid.
I mean, Andy Reid. I'm a Mike Tomlin guy.
Yeah. Mike Tomlin ain't got a Pat Mahomes. He's
Yeah.
got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and he got
Mike Tomlin.
that.
Mike Tomlin been winning games,
Every-
making playoffs.
Yep.
With nobody.
And Steelers fans take that for
with
granted.
nobody on offense, but defense has always been straight.
Yep. He coaches and expects his team to be the same. Going back to the two running back setup, like I said before, the 2003 Super Bowl run. Who were the running backs? Stephen Davis and Deshaun Foster. It was a 2-back system. In the mid 2000s with you guys, double trouble. Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams. Later, Jonathan Stewart, Christian McCaffrey. Now you're going to see Chuba Hubbard, who I felt like it was like a statement for them to sign Chuba when they did, and why they did, and the reasons why they said they did, because he was the type of guy they want to build foundation wise. And I love the fact that it came out that J.C. Horn is next on their list of guys they want to extend, because he's another guy that's emerging as a leader in this locker room that's going to be up for an extension. You get Chuba, and if Brooks turns into, a lot of people were saying he's the best running back coming out the draft, and we get him in the second round. If he's anything close to what we think he might be behind that offensive line, when you got Robert Hunt running 15 yards down the field, throwing people into people and stuff, like,
yeah, Robert Hunt, bro. Robert Hunt reminds me of one of them big soldiers of like them, like, you know, castle days in movies, like
did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah, yes, that's who it reminds me. He reminds me of one of them giants.
Yeah,
one of them giants from
the other side of the wall.
From Game of Thrones, and he just come out of nowhere from the forest, right? Breaking trees down, and he just takes guys and just smacks them across smacks a bunch of 5 guys in a row, just throws them all over the building. That's what he reminds me of, man. Just a guy that's just a freak of nature. He reminds me of when you walk by. I'm trying to think of something that's just large.
He's a large man. You mentioned it last week, too.
like a porta-john, right? You just walk by one of them things, man, that's a big old piece of equipment.
Robert Hunt's built like that. And the thing that was most important to me that you mentioned last week when you were sitting with him and talking to him, he wants to be here. That's the thing. He loves being here. He loves being a cornerstone of this franchise. It's Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, Chuba, J.C. Horn, and now you're starting to see with
Coker.
Coker, Leggett stepping up, Sanders,
A'Shawn
Robinson, who was out for a little bit back in their past 2 games. He's made some key defensive plays that's helped them win football games. They're starting to play complementary football, and they weren't doing that before, and that is really starting to show. And again, getting back to the Bryce thing, I want Bryce to start versus Kansas City. Why not? If I know Canals is keeping it close to the vest, and he's like, we'll play it by ear. We'll look at the tape. That's his sign. That's his line. We'll look at the tape, see what it says, and kind of go from there. They're going to start Bryce. There's no reason to not start him at this point. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They're playing pretty well. Now's a chance for Bryce to kind of break out that shell. This could turn into a shootout somewhat. And the more you trust your skill position players, the more he's going to be able to show why he was the number 1 prospect coming out of college or whatnot. And that's all I'm waiting on. I want to see those flashes of, ooh, that was good. And to your point, you mentioned earlier in the show, he's starting to have a couple throws where it's like dimes, literally it's not as sporadic as it was before. It's starting to come more together. And yes, there's times where I can almost put it on the play calling where they're putting him in situations where it's almost like, well, let's see what he does if we do this. Let's see what he does if we do that. And I did notice in the those empty backfield sets where he's already in shotgun. I don't think that's the best position for Bryce to be in. I was thinking about with Drew Brees in New Orleans. He was under center a lot, and it allowed them to kind of create that pocket by him being under center. When Bryce is not under center, he actually reverts back to some of the things I talked about last year. His footwork, throwing off his back foot, not stepping up in the pocket. He's used to catching it, going back a couple steps and just throwing, and using his arm. That's fine in high school. That's fine in college. I don't know how far he can go in the NFL doing that. Whereas when he's under center, it seems like he has more confidence in his steps, like his drop back, and then his climbing the ladder back up into it. He does it almost all the time under the pot when he's underneath center. When he's in shotgun, he almost reverts back to what got him. He got away with some stuff. And I noticed that on Sunday a little bit. And that was that second quarter, actually. That first quarter was all Chuba. Hand Chuba the ball. Boom, 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 boom. Why are we not handing Chuba Hubbard the ball? We just gave him money. Just here, boom, 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 boom. And he was getting it. Second quarter, they went completely away from it and just tried to throw the ball. I'm like, what are we doing? Give the ball
I
to
think
Chuba.
I like one of the things I realize, as long as you can run the ball and you show you can run the ball in the game, you can always go back to it.
And they did do that. Yeah.
And so as long as you go back to it at some point, that's all that really matters. Because I do understand, you want to throw the ball, you want to air it out a little bit because that keeps the defense honest and it doesn't make you one-dimensional, right? And so as an offensive coordinator, as a play caller, those are the things that you have in your mind as you're going into the game. And also, throwing the ball sets you up. It sets things up that you want to do down the road. Like, sets things up, and not, like the things that you call in this game can eventually set you up for success in another game, right? Because people are watching film and they're like, oh, see, every time he runs this, every time they go 3-set over to the right side with, to the field, this is the route combination that they're running on third down or second down. So you get guys watching film and you start lulling to sleep. Next thing you know, you hit them with something they never seen before.
Yep.
And then now we got explosive plays.
Well,
so this game is definitely chess, like marathon chess.
Marathon chess. The Panthers they're on a bye week. They're taking on the Chiefs. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday. It is a 1:00 kickoff. It's at Bank of America Stadium. I'm pretty sure it's on Fox, but don't take my word for it. I've been wrong pretty much every week on the channel that's supposed to be on. They've been putting them on CBS and all over the place. They're on the NFL Network this past Sunday. So
we're not a reliable source for where it's going to be.
Check your local listings. Just know they're playing at 1 somewhere. Somehow. You'll find it. You're Panther fans. You're very resilient. You'll be able to get to it. I wanted to, before we got out of here, though, just stepping out of football for a second. Your thoughts on Friday? It's a little boxing match going on. I'm sure you've heard of it. Logan Paul, Mike Tyson.
Logan Paul about to die. No, I hope he does not die.
I hope he don't, but I'm kind of expecting it.
But listen, Logan Paul about to get smacked across his head, dog. I hope Mike Tyson bite his ear off.
Man, I've been watching some of Mike Tyson's training videos. I keep forgetting Mike Tyson is 60 years old, and
Mike Tyson
man.
Mike Tyson is in the best shape of his life.
Yeah, doing all this stuff. I'm like, yo, calm down, Mike, calm down. It's supposed to be like a thing for charity or something, right? Because I thought they were going to do the thing where Logan was going to wear the headgear. They're doing this boxing, boxing.
Look, Mike Tyson is going to touch that man's skull. You hear me? Not his head, his skull. He gonna hit him so hard, his skull is gonna be like, yo, check, yo, I'm good.
We're gonna watch a murder on national TV. What is happening? And we're gonna pay for it because it's on Netflix. Yep, let me put that down right here and let's see what happens. Because a lot of people don't like Logan Paul to begin with, so it's like, who would I want to punch Logan Paul in the face if I could choose anybody? Mike Tyson. So
I hope Mike Tyson goes and touches his skull and that Logan Paul's body and his soul just separates. Yo, look, you good? I'll see you later.
How many rounds do you think you can go? How many rounds do you think you can go? Because it's sad. I'm like, how many rounds do you think Logan can go? One?
Uno.
Ooh.
One.
Because he does box. He is a boxer.
I don't care. He's Mike Tyson.
He's not Mike Tyson. No.
And even the little charity thing that Mike Tyson did with Roy Jones, right?
Yeah.
That was charity. They both was look, I'm old, you old. Let's not knock each other out.
They weren't even. I think they were wearing headgear in that one too.
They was man, look, we just out here just showcasing that we still can move.
And they're actually friends. They know each other.
Yeah.
They've had Paul and Tyson have had confrontations leading up to this where Mike Tyson is basically like, look, I'm going to kill you.
That's one person that I don't look. I don't want that person. Look, I would never want Mike Tyson to think dark things about me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want you thinking about me at all. Matter of fact, I don't want Mike Tyson about me.
I don't know you. You don't know me. Let's just keep our lives separate.
See, for the young Thundercats that are out there watching this broadcast that might not have been alive in the peak of Mike Tyson's reign of terror in the ring, you're talking 88, 89, like 87. Like when, like go to YouTube and look up Mike Tyson's best knockouts. It's about 30 minutes of him dislodging people's heads from their necks, like literally uppercut. Like it, I mean,
Mike, how'd you do it? I broke my back.
Yeah.
In training, I broke it.
I broke it.
What part? Spinal. My back. What you mean, what part?
Eat your children. Eat your children. Like Mike is wired a little differently. Now, granted, the past 20 years, it's crazy. He's kind of had this renaissance where pop culture has reverted back to loving Mike Tyson, because there was a stretch where he was kind of a pry. They didn't want anything to do with him. After the Hangover, after he's in the Hangover, that kind of flipped his career a little bit. Now he does a lot of stuff with cannabis and everything else. He's kind of
always loved Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I love Mike Tyson. He's fine.
Even when he bit Evander's Holyfield's ear off, he's a monster.
I was watching that live. I remember because I think I was in high school, and we had to pay. You know, back in the day to do pay-per-view, and back then it was like $100-something or whatever. So at a friend's house, we all put down our $30 each so we can watch it. And we're sitting there watching it. And I remember we got so mad because we paid money for it, and we're sitting there watching Mike Tyson literally intentionally trying to bite Evander Holyfield's ear multiple times. Yeah, that last one he got him like, and spit it out. He spit out the ear. So we were, man. The best part of that whole match was at the end. Mike Tyson's manager was getting interviewed in the back, and he was going on, and he was like, "Man, Evander Holyfield is just a B word." Like he just said it. Like right, we were like, like, what? That was clutch the pearls like type moment. That was the best part of that whole fight. But Logan Paul, Mike Tyson, Friday night live on Netflix. Who I just saw. I think they did last year too. They've got 2 live NFL Christmas games on Netflix this year. Didn't they have a game on Netflix last year? Do you remember that?
I can't remember.
Netflix is getting into the live sports game. WWE's about to start over there in January. We got to start counting Netflix in here with Amazon Prime and Peacock and all these different streaming outlets that are getting into this NFL game. But they've got 2 Christmas Day games, I think, on Netflix this year. So if you got Netflix, check that out. Paul, Mike Tyson, Friday night. We'll see what happens there. Anything you want to say before we get out of here, Stu? We will be back next week to preview the Chiefs game. We might have Schuyler with us. So any parting thoughts to give to the Panther faithful?
Yeah, I'm going to say it again. The train is about to leave. This is your last chance to get on the train for this season. Once bye week is ended, and it will officially be ended on Wednesday of next week, you can join. So if you want to join and subscribe to the Carolina Panthers, fan train,
come on in.
You can like and subscribe to Bleav in Panthers. You can like the video of this that will be posted, because this will be the last chance for you to get a ticket to be a Panther fan.
We close
before we start taking off. We about to take off. I'm just letting you know. Okay. That's my last words.
And we've been warning folks too. Like, we do keep receipts to Bleav in Panthers too. So it's like we know we're probably one of the more positive Panther podcasts out there. We really don't spend an hour bragging on the Panthers and talk about everything they're doing wrong, unless we have absolutely no choice. For the most part, we try to shift through everything and figure out, well, there was this, there was that. There's bright spots here. There's things to work on. We try to stay positive with it. And finally, it feels like they're turning a corner and seeing it themselves. And we'll see. We'll see the bye week again. I think it came at a perfect time for this particular year and this roster to get healthier. And they'll have their biggest challenge of the year when they come out of it. At least it's at home. So Bank of America Stadium. You know what? I might try to go down there for that. I might try to go.
You should.
Press
Chiefs
pass.
Stand up. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I have the ability to. I just haven't applied for one. I might get a press pass and come through. I'll let you know if I do. See if you might.
Before we leave, shout out to Josie Jewell for having a fantastic game too.
Yes, he's been great the past 2 weeks since he's been back. Jewell, Dane Jackson came back. Again, the defense is getting healthier and it's starting to show where they're holding teams below 20 points the past couple of weeks. Now, if they hold Kansas City below 20, that'll be something. But Kansas City, they only scored 16 against Denver last week, so they're struggling a little bit too on offense. It's again, Stu, I wouldn't have said it out loud like you did, but since you already said it, that's a winnable game.
Yeah,
We'll get
winnable game, dog.
We'll get into
Go Panthers. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. We'll preview the Chiefs versus Panthers game and much, much more coming out of the bye week. For Jonathan Stewart, for Schuyler Callahan, his newborn and wife chilling and cut in Charlotte. He'll be back soon. And for myself, Desmond Johnson, it's been the Bleav in Panthers podcast and Bleav Podcast Networks. Keep pounding.